it would be remiss of me not to ask two things. Number one, is there anything that you have seen in your time in the bush that, back on our subject before, that you thought, oh, that's a little bit weird, or maybe there's a story to that, or maybe you've seen something that you couldn't quite wrap your head around? That's the first question. I'll wait until you answer that, then I'll hit you with the second, which is a very serious question.
Okay. I'm putting some thought into this one. In terms of physically observing or seeing something that made me second guess my surroundings or the experience or interactions that I was having out there, unfortunately, I'd have to say no. I haven't seen anything which has really made me second guess. However, on another wavelength, and I know there'd be a number of people that can vouch for this as well, I have been in locations where I've came across Aboriginal artwork and drawings and artefacts, which when I've been in the present and I've came across that, like when I've recently done this walk across Arnhem Land and I came across a cave, which was very, very remote, and I stumbled across it when I was with my horse and I've seen this artwork. There was a very chilling feeling that went through me that, it's not often that my hair will stand on end, but it felt like a very cold breeze just went fucking straight through me, which it could be a combination of a couple of things, excitement, adrenaline, shock, but I definitely you definitely feel that you're in the presence of something much greater than the physical world, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think it was a feeling, a weird feeling that these paintings had probably been done tens of thousands of years ago. And here I am in a cave, all of a sudden surrounded by all this emotion.
Yeah.
And you feel that. You really do feel that, and it really, it's a moment in time that you just don't forget,
I understand what you're saying. It's for me, it's when I walk into a theater.
Here we go. Yeah, go.
No, it is. Walk into the fridge. No, it's where you walk into like a theater which has been around for 150 to 100 years maybe. Some of the older ones, and there's been so many joyous occasions there. There's been laughs. There's been crowds. There's been thousands of performances, and there is that weird sensation in the air that does give you excitement, and it makes you feel like something's about to happen. I sort of get where you're at. It's obviously not the 10,000 year that no one's seen this amazing artwork, no one's been in this area, but it is something quite similar. But Andrew, I need you to answer this for me, mate. The second question I have is
I'm waiting for it, guys. This is a build. I feel like I need a drink here. Like I should have like a fucking whiskey or like a shot of like tequila or something. Go hit.
Next podcast we'll get whiskeys going, all right? But is there any truth to the rumor that you once found a dead emu on the ground, took its skin off, dressed as an emu, and then hunted a kangaroo with it?
I thought it was going to be a worse question than that. I thought it was going to be like a relationship fucking question.
No, I'm not going to me to you. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't. It's interesting. So that idea within itself, I don't think I definitely wasn't the first person to come up with that style of idea. Indigenous people have been using some amazing fucking techniques to catch animals over the years. In fact, there was one I heard about recently which kind of made sense, and I did incorporate it into one of my videos. And it was, so the Indigenous up here, the Aboriginals, they hunt this geese. It's called a magpie geese, right? So what they would do is they'd go out with boomerangs, and they'd like try and hit like one or two of these geese, and if they got lucky with a shot. But once they'd caught one, they would actually gut out the bird. It's actually quite a large bird, so they'd gut out the bird, right? They would put a stick through the neck just to keep it propped up. They would put the magpie geese over their head. They would cut out a section of the front where the feathers were as eye holes, and then what they'd do is they'd go into the billabong. But they were smart, you see. They'd go into a billabong where there were no magpie geese, but they knew that there was an area that was like 200 meters away or 300 meters away with all these other water birds. So what they'd do is they'd have 1 or 2 guys set up in that location, you know, in disguise as these like little magpie geese things. Then they'd go and spook all the birds from the other billabong. Those other birds would fly over, land in the billabong, and then what they'd do is they'd go around systematically, grabbing the birds from fucking underneath, because the birds can't see them, grabbing the birds underneath, snapping the neck, and then going from one to the other. And so they would collect up to 20.
That's like Jaws. It's like the Aboriginal version of Jaws. Sneaking from underneath.
It's incorporation, and it's using nature to your advantage. And I think it was the North Americans used to do something similar with the bison, I believe, as well. They'd have 2 people, and they'd kind of get inside of a bison, and they'd use it as a technique to get closer. So although I felt like I was being original in my idea, and I don't think it's probably been done with emus and kangaroos before, it is, however, quite an ancient technique that's probably been used the last fucking 50,000 years.
It's crazy. You'd never think of that, but it genuinely worked. And I was fascinated to watch that video. Because like you start watching that video, you just go, what the fuck is Andrew doing? And then you go, it fucking worked. This is fantastic, you know? And to think about, you know, ancient, well, not ancient, but, you know, 200-300 years ago, Aboriginal people in Australia doing exactly that. I think it's a very, very interesting thing, and it shows how ingenious people become when their main goal for the day is trying to feed oneself.